Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do part 2 of my fall eyeshadow picks. So if you're curious to see what those are, I hope that you will stick around and keep on watching. Hi, how are you? Hope everyone's doing well. I just filmed my indie fall eyeshadow palette choices for this year, the palettes that I decided to pull out from my collection to use this season, and also, some suggestions for you guys to do the same. And now we're gonna do my mainstream fall eyeshadow picks for this year. So before we jump in, let me quickly introduce myself. For those of you that are new here, hi, my name is Natalia. I'm a concert pianist who loves all things makeup and beauty, and I am doing sort of a low-buy year, mostly exploring the makeup that I already own because a lot of it hasn't even been touched yet. Yes, you heard me right. I have bought a lot of makeup over the years and some of it has been neglected to this day, and I'm trying to change that. So these seasonal picks that I'm doing, I'm basically pulling out 5 eyeshadow palettes that are kind of my tried and trues and things that I definitely would recommend, some of my favorite fall eyeshadow palettes, and then 5 that I have yet to even dip my fingers, far else my brushes into. So please subscribe if you like these sort of seasonal videos, and I might do other themed type videos in the future for the fall. Maybe we'll do something that's not just eyeshadow palette related. So if you would like to see that, give this video a like, please subscribe, and let's jump into my 10 mainstream fall eyeshadow picks for this season. In my indie eyeshadow palette video, I was gonna do one tried and true, one brand new, and switch it off. And then I realized 4 of the new ones were from the same brand. So I kind of thought that was a little silly, and I ended up halfway through the video changing my mind. For this, I do have 3 from the same brand that I have already used and loved, 2 from the same brand that I should have used and hopefully loved because they're darn expensive, but they're still sitting around brand new. And then there's 2 others from the same brand and a couple of just oddballs. So I think for this one, we could go 1-1, and yes, there will be repeat brands, but it is what it is. Really, the rule was these palettes that you could have at some point, even if they're discontinued, have gotten in stores such as Sephora, as opposed to indie, which are not only independently owned, but most of the brands that I showed you guys in the previous video, I don't think you can really easily purchase at just like a mainstream store. GLAMLITE, I believe you can find at CVS, but like Unearthly Cosmetics, we talked about, Adapt, Odin's Eye, most of those are just company Nomad. Most of those are companies you're just gonna find on their individual websites or a few other online retailers that they have already created contracts with in one way or another. Whereas these brands are easily accessible in a Sephora. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I don't know if these are technically independent brands, any of these, but they're like large enough to be in Sephora. So in my mind, they're not really indie anymore. Like they've got money coming in. They've got supporters, even if they're not original investors in the company. We're not just like a husband and wife team pressing eyeshadows in the living room or striking up contracts with labs on their own with maybe 2 employees, That's kind of what I'm getting at. I think you'll understand. Well, once you see the brands, I think you'll understand why I think these I would consider more mainstream brands. Let's start with one of several Natasha Denona palettes. And this palette was going to go into my summer to fall transition video, which I filmed and then never edited in time. And then I just thought it was stupid to post it in October because by now we're not transitioning. We're in fall. This is the Yucca palette. This is beautiful. This gives me basically summer and fall vibes, and even spring. Like I would say, except for maybe winter, I would use this palette the rest of the year. But definitely there's a lot of fall in here. Some orange pumpkin vibes, this beautiful green. The shimmers can be used all year round, but they are definitely warmer and more olive toned. I love an olive toned eye look. And I also like that it does have a few pops so that it doesn't have to all be, super murky and grungy energy the whole entire time. So I'm really excited to keep using this palette. This was in my summer eyeshadow picks, and then as I said, that video didn't even get filmed. Then it was in my transition palettes from summer to fall, which you guys didn't see. So you're seeing it now. It is still a well-loved palette, and I would like to still continue using it in the fall. And if you have this palette, I recommend that instead of running to buy that new Cosmic Beauty palette that, yes, it's bigger and it is looking beautiful. I really want that palette. But it's essentially a larger Yucca palette in Cosmic Beauty formula, which I've never tried. I hear the palettes are really lovely. I have yet to purchase anything from them. And for now, I'm going to hold off, and I'm gonna try to satisfy myself with all the palettes I already have, especially considering how many brand new ones I still have yet to try. So speaking of brand new ones, let's start with the Big Mama, the one that's like most embarrassing. And she's not the only Pat McGrath palette in my collection that is still sitting brand new. Part of the reason is, and I struggle with this, not just with Pat McGrath palettes. You guys, if you've been here, probably heard me talk about how I also struggle with imprints in eyeshadow palettes. Part of the reason is I love not just using makeup, but I love the aesthetics of makeup. I love the color story combinations and the packaging. And honestly, I mean, even just once in a while opening and looking at it already makes me happy. But then destroying it, that first few times that you use a palette or the first time that I swatch a palette, it's hard for me. I know a lot of people enjoy that process. And while a part of me sort of does, once all the colors are on my arm and I see the full color story swatched out, yes, there's definitely some satisfaction in that, but the actual swatching and destroying the beautiful, perfect, impeccable eyeshadow pan situation, I have a hard time with that. But this needs to change because I did not buy this ridiculously expensive eyeshadow palette just to stare at it. This is the Mothership 2 Sublime palette, and I think you can see why I picked this one specifically to finally use this fall. I mean, first of all, we have beautiful neutrals. They do tend to, as a lot of the times with Pat, lean a little mauvey in a couple of these, although there are definitely a few neutrals as well. But yeah, there's a pink special shade, but of course the green caught my eye. And we have the beautiful gold. So there's a nice variety here. I thought out of the ones that are still brand new, this is probably the first one I should use this fall because it's definitely the most fall related color story. Okay, let's break things up and do a Huda Beauty palette. This is the Empowered. I only have two of her large palettes. I have Mercury Retrograde, which I love for the spring, and then I have the Empowered palette, which I love for summer and fall. Again, another summer to fall transition palette for me. I love the fact that this palette offers the warm tones, but then for somebody like me who's a little bit scared of warm tones and that prefers neutral or even cooler leaning neutrals, there is some of that here in this corner as well. I have yet to use the cream shade ever. I don't know how that's gonna go, and hopefully I'll finally get around to it this time around. And it's got some really bright gold shimmers. It can be very dramatic. It could be very fun and punchy. There's definitely some variety with this palette, even though, you know, upon first glance it's like, oh, very neutral, but it's neutral with a twist because we do have a purple, we do have a couple of golds, there are some murkier shades, there are some brighter shades. So I think this is a good palette. I really enjoyed it when I first got it, and the few times that I have revisited since, I actually didn't get around to using it this summer, which is why it was going to be a summer to fall transition. So I'm excited to finally get a chance to use it. Okay, from the new palettes, one that was gifted to me, and it's, I'm sure, not available anymore. I think this was a special collection quite a few years ago by now. This is the Claudette palette. Funnily enough, I remember one person on YouTube talking about this palette a lot and really loving it. And she still has her beauty channel up on YouTube, but she's no longer filming for a beauty channel. She's now doing ASMR, which I love. So it's really fun to see Kara C. If you guys have ever watched her, Kara Chapman, I think is her last name. She started out as Kara C. Then I I think her beauty channel changed to her full name, Carrie Chapman, and I can't remember her ASMR channel. It's like Lily Rose ASMR or something like that. If I remember to link it, I will, in case you guys are into ASMR like myself. But I thought this would be perfect for me to finally get a chance to try this. I've been wanting to try this for such a long time, and then I forget, and it's small palette, so it gets lost in the shuffle. But I think these 6 shades complement each other so nicely. I can see at least 2 very distinct and very different looks that I can create with this, and I'm sure there's probably more. So I'm really hoping I finally get a chance to use this beautiful NARS palette. Metropolis. This is one of my favorite Natasha Denona palettes, not just because I think it's actually a beautiful color story and a beautiful selection of shades, and I love how in this pretty compact packaging there are 28 colors as opposed to her MIDI 15, but this is a very sentimental palette. This was a gift from 2 lovely people that I met through YouTube and through the beauty community, Rupi and Steven. I'm sure I've talked about this palette before. You guys have probably all seen this palette before. This is the Metropolis from Natasha Denona. It's a stunning palette. I pulled this out as one of my summer palettes. I used it only once though during the summer because I wasn't wearing that much makeup, and then it was going to be my transition from summer to fall because I really wanted to keep using it, and here we are. I definitely need to keep using this more because there are a few shades I'm looking right now. Not many, but there are a few I don't believe I still to this day have ever truly used. I don't remember if I've ever used that green. It's hard to tell, like some I can tell of course because they look like they already have little dips in them, and some I'm not sure. These 2 corner shades look almost untouched, but I'm pretty sure I have used them maybe only once, but I definitely feel like all the shimmers I must have used by now, the more neutral ones. Regardless, look at this palette. It's glorious. It's beautiful. The one thing I might do with it is I might rearrange it because I do like when there's this many shades, I get a bit overwhelmed. So I feel like I would benefit from a light gradient of, you know, going from lighter to deeper. So I might finally do that. I've been meaning to for at least a year to try that and see if that encourages me to use this palette in a more creative way and more often. But yeah, I love the Metropolis. If you guys have this palette, pull it out. I think my friend Kelly from Keep Beauty Real has been using this one most of the summer as well. I know she posted a fall video. It's on my watch later. I haven't seen it yet. I wouldn't be surprised if this made it in there into her fall picks too, unless she decided that she used it enough in the summer and she wants a break from it. Okay, from the new palettes, I don't know if this palette is still available. I don't believe it's available at Sephora anymore, but I know it used to be. I found it at TJ Maxx, and this is the Lawless The One eyeshadow palette. I had wanted to try the Lawless eyeshadow formula when they first came out with this, when I was seeing a lot of reviews online. Never got around to it, never really wanted to pay the full price, and then I randomly a couple of months back saw it, or maybe more than a couple of months back by now, saw it at TJ Maxx, and I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to finally try it. This is great for the fall just because it is a very easy, approachable, all-in-one neutral palette. You have different tones here, everything from pink to mauve to neutral to warm, or maybe neutral leaning neutral. I find on me things tend to pull more warm, so I thought this would be a great season to use it. Plus I wanted to have one palette, though there's one more coming up, that is just super approachable, super easy. I could do like one matte in the crease, slap a shimmer all over my lid, and be done with it. And I think this is going to be, as long as I enjoy the formula, which of course I can get back to and let you guys know, especially if this palette is still available. I don't know if it is. Let me know if you have this, if you still use it and you still love it, or if you've gotten over it and decluttered it by now. I'm sure a lot of people already have. I'm always the last one on the train, but that's okay. I don't mind. Let's do the last Natasha Denona palette. I caved and bought the I Need a Warm palette. If you saw my summer haul, you would know that. It was at the very end of that video. I even filmed eye swatches with this palette in late August. Let me know if I should still edit that and put that up, or if this is such old news that I should just scrap that video altogether. I do enjoy this palette. I have used it quite a bit, but definitely far from enough yet because I've only had it for about a month and a half. What I like about both I Need a Nude, which I think might still be my favorite, and this one, I Need a Warm, is just the ease of these palettes. This is what I reach for when I want to do makeup, but I don't want it to be a big production. These palettes are so great for that. And I actually like having a multi-chrome in a palette that is this basic and this simple to use. I think it's nice to have something to spice it up without me having to reach for a single. I know some people, you know, are like, well, but why is this necessary? We have really beautiful indie multi-chromes. Convenience. I think that's really what it's about. Convenience. Yes, I know it's probably the most basic of multi-chromes. I think it's still great that she included it. So I want to keep playing with it. I think it's a great neutral palette. You open it up, you don't have to fuss, you don't have to sit there and scratching your head and trying to figure out color combinations. You can basically close your eyes, dip into any matte, and then close your eyes and dip into any shimmer, and you're gonna get a great look. Okay, and then we have the sister, the little sister to that Pat McGrath Mothership 2, the Sublime. This is the one that I keep meaning, it's sitting here on my desk, but I keep meaning to glue back together because this part of it fell off. This one is called Bronze Ambition. So of course it's supposed to look like so, and then you're supposed to be able to close it as such. But on my palette, which I got at Marshall's, still for quite a hefty price of $29.99 for 6 colors. What were these originally, like $65 or something, right? This is just a beautiful warm palette. I wanted to use it this summer. I pulled it in as one of my new palettes for my summer picks. I never got around to it. It's clearly still absolutely fantastic for the fall. This gives me very cozy, toasty vibes. So I'm very excited to use this. I am hoping that I like small palettes, so I'm hoping the fact that it's a 6-pan actually will make me reach for this one and that little NARS palette the most, and a couple of others that are coming up. Okay, last 2 palettes are from the same brand. I've tried one of them and I have yet to try another one, even though I've had them now for, oh gosh, one of them I've had since December of last year, and then the other one I got a few months later, or like a month later. It's the Haus Labs little mini palettes. What are these called? The iLibrary eyeshadow palettes. This is the volume 1, the super neutrals. I think this was the one I bought in Vegas, and I really do enjoy this palette. I think it's a great little mini fall eyeshadow palette because you have very fall-esque mattes, but then you have 3 really different shimmers. So I think it really gives enough variety to play around with something that is this teeny tiny. So I wanted to select at least 1 or 2 really small palettes in case I travel, in case I need to throw something in my purse. I always like to have small palettes on hand for situations like that. Out of all of my minis, there were tons I could have chosen. I have Mini Gold that I think is perfect from Natasha Denona. I have a little Viseart 6-pan that I think could have done the trick, but I wanted to play with this one more, and because I have yet to try the volume 2, I kind of thought it would be fun to have both of these in my fall, you know, shop my stash or whatever we want to call this. This is more of a purple mauve, cooler toned sister to the one I just showed you guys. It does have this beautiful muted green. Is it a green? Is it a taupe? It's hard to tell. I feel like it's more of a muted olive green, to be honest. Let's see. It's called Olive Bio Glitter. I don't know what Bio Glitter formula means. Do we have any of those here? No, these are all chrome, matte. So I have yet to try this Bio Glitter formula, and I hope it's not too glittery. The other ones are the chrome and the matte formula, which I know I already like. So this color I'm excited about. This formula I'm a little scared of, but I guess I won't know until I actually try it. And then I love that there's this really fun purple, almost borderline fuchsia color, and then these beautiful cooler toned, almost like mauve-y neutrals. I feel like I can't talk and I'm out of breath for some reason. I'm rusty. I haven't filmed enough in so long. But that's it, guys. This is my mainstream fall eyeshadow picks for this year. Again, there are so many other palettes I could have picked. The two palettes that I am dying to have, and I keep trying to resist just because, again, I have so many that I have yet to even try, are the two Nomad palettes that they brought back, the Ghost Town USA and the Haunted Europe. I wanted those two palettes, both of them, when they initially came out, and talked myself out of them, and I'm still trying to talk myself out of these two, but it's been hard. It's been hard. I really want those palettes. If I had those probably would have made it into my indie picks for this year, but we'll see. We'll see if I cave or not. Anyway, at this point, I'm just chatting, and I should let you go. I shouldn't just be rambling for no reason. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, if this was at all fun, please give it a like, please subscribe, and let me know what videos you guys would like to see. Now that I'm back, I think I mentioned that in my summer haul, and I was really serious about it. I'd really like to, you know, maybe dip my toes into slightly different videos, try new things. I, of course, have tons of things I could film, and most of the time what I film is things I like to watch myself. And I have a mile-long list. I have my giveaway videos that I have to finish filming and edit and such. I have my project pan I need to fill you in on. I have an empties video that desperately needs to be filmed because my bucket is beyond overflowing. Like, they're definitely things that are on my list, but I also would love to mix in some new things. So let me know what kind of videos you're enjoying right now, just to give me some ideas. Anyway, still rambling. We'll let you go. Thank you again. I hope that you guys are all doing really well. I hope that you are continuing to stay safe and healthy. Take care of yourselves and those around you, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye.